please join me in giving Sara and Lyndall a warm Gleebooks welcome.
This novel it's an epic story. It's a feminist epic in the sense that it is following the lives of three extraordinary women in the first part of the 20th century as they make their way literally across the world, each being engaged in a different kind of feminist revolution. And that's, for me, why the novel is just so absolutely exciting. So this is a global novel with a global context, and it's very much, on every page I can feel Sara negotiating with her characters, working through them and building on her experiences in Australia. But in this novel, as a historical novel, sweeping across the first part of the 20th century, beginning in a sense with the revolution of 1905 in Russia and continuing on through the revolution of 1917, moving into the horrors of Palestine in the 1920s, where Jewish refugees are trying to establish a new kind of nation, relations with the Arab community in Palestine, all of those contradictions that of course are still present today. Sara weaves her way through all of this with enormous knowledge, with enormous understanding, and it'll grip you right to the very last page. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about what happens in the novel, except to say that the three characters are so wonderfully drawn, and the personal and political is there as the driving force. So it's a very great honour and a very great privilege for me to officially launch this wonderful book called As the Lonely Fly. Perhaps Sara might explain to us why she has called it that, and I'm going to also invite Sara to read some early passages from the book to give you a great sense of the flavour of what this great book is all about. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, okay. This is the fruition of many years' work. In Yiddish it's called a mishigas, which means craziness. And there were times when I did think it was crazy. But you have to have a passion, even if it's a crazy passion, and so I persevered. I've got to take my glasses off to read, but I have so many people to thank, and now that I've taken my glasses off, I can't see you, but I think that it's just so wonderful to see old friends and new friends, and the Ashburner contingent, and two of my artists buddies, and it's really, really a wonderful day. If I had to break a femur in order to get this book to see the light of day, it's been worth every agonizing moment of it. As the Lonely Fly, Lyndall, it refers to the cobbler telling Hava, the character, that he's made a pair of shoes for her. And why did he do that? Because you never know when you have to fly. So that's where it came from. And my agent at the time was very worried that people would think it was an etymology book. But anyway, we took that chance. We took a lot of chances. Its publication coincides, as you know, with the 50-year mark of the Six-Day War and Israel's continuing occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, effectively Gaza, and the Golan Heights. It can hardly be graced with the name of anniversary, and but the book does open and close in 1967, and there was a point to that, obviously. This is when Marion, an American actor, visits her niece Zipporah, an Israeli living in Haifa. But most of the narrative is in flashback, and throughout it does take liberty with time. This is the only way I knew of corralling the events, or fragments, as John Berger called them, of migratory life. Everybody in the novel has some connection with a real person, but what happens is that when you write fiction, they take on lives of their own. And Zipporah was based in part by my cousin's mother, who was dead by the time I went to Israel. But she was the one who went to Dagania, who wanted to be a teacher, who had a struggle learning Hebrew. And I will say that I, on the recommendation of a friend, I took this manuscript to an editor who was really nice and said a lot of good things, but she really wanted to cut out Zipporah, and since she was the, almost the center, it didn't seem possible to go with that. I mean, I really did want to get that triangle of the American, the Russian, and the committed Zionists, because so many Russian Jews went to Palestine for reasons multifarious. And Zipporah was one of them. It was really from the Ukraine, but then it was the Russian Empire. And, but the American character, to me, was really important, and that's when I really let fly, because I remember New York so well. But she was important, or is important in the novel, because without America, there would be no Israel. So this is a scene, I'm just reading bits. Hava, please, I'm sorry. She turned to him, persisting with her dusting. Your mind is closed, Shimon. I'm afraid we are speaking in two different tongues. Your thinking is ahistorical. Ahistorical? What was it I was talking about if it wasn't history? Chronology is not the same thing as history, she said. Thank you very much.